Hi! In this presentation, we're going to learn about Richard Mayer, educational psychologist and multimedia theorist. We're going to first look at a brief biography of Mayer, understand his research and rationale, then get an overview of his cognitive theory of multimedia learning. Richard Mayer is an educational psychologist who earned his PhD in psychology in 1973 from the University of Michigan. He was a professor at the University of Indiana from 1973 to 1974 before moving to Santa Barbara, California. Today, he continues his work in educational psychology with a focus on multimedia learning. He's also a professor at the University of California, Santa Barbara. Mayer has written over 500 publications that include, but are not limited to, journals, books, and editorials. His most popular books include Multimedia Learning, Computer Games for Learning, and E-Learning in the Science of Instruction. Mayer's research focuses on the science behind both learning and instruction along with multimedia tools. His work centers on the following: multimedia learning, which is understanding how people learn from videos, animations, narrations, simulations, and illustrations. Computer-supported learning environments, which is understanding how people learn through online learning management systems, mobile devices, and virtual reality. And computer games for learning, which is understanding how to increase the effectiveness of games in an educational setting. Mayer's rationale for developing his theory of multimedia learning is deeply rooted behind the simple fact that many learn better with a combination of words and pictures than with words alone. Today, multimedia instruction is readily and widely available to many. However, it doesn't guarantee effective learning. His hypothesis on the subject questioned meaningful learning in relation to multimedia educational tools. For more than 25 years, Mayer and his colleagues constructed the multimedia learning theory and principles to shed light on a deeper understanding of multimedia learning while creating a guide to develop effective multimedia instruction. Mayer developed the cognitive theory of multimedia learning in order to personalize the acquisition of knowledge for a diverse audience of learners while integrating multimedia tools. His theory has become standard approach when developing instruction in various media formats. The basis of his theory revolves around three assumptions: dual channels, limited capacity, and active processing. The human brain takes and processes information in multiple ways depending on how the information is presented. The first processing channel is visually represented information, and the second is auditory information. Written information presented alongside charts, graphs, or pictures allows the learner to understand the content more because of the varying modes of presentation. People are limited to the amount of information gained through audio and visual presentation. When presented with a diagram, for example, the learner may later reflect on only portions of the diagram and not the whole thing. When presented with auditory information, the learner may recall keywords and phrases at one time. Mayer believes that active processing occurs when the learner applies cognitive processes to incoming material, processes that are intended to help the learner make sense of the material. 3 processes are required for active learning to occur. Selecting, when the learner determines what pieces of information in the lesson will transfer to working memory. Organizing, which is when the learner takes the selected information and compartmentalizes it into a cognitive structure. And integrating. That's when the learner connects the new information with prior relevant information that was previously stored in their long-term memory. Based on these assumptions, it's safe to say that multimedia learning is beneficial when done in small digestible chunks that does not lead to cognitive overload. It's best to highlight and present key facts that allows the learners to use prior knowledge in order for effective long-term memory processing.